the Ronnie Coleman, the king.
He trained in a dungeon type gym. In my terms, it would be labeled as a shithole.
You know, Ronnie had enormous amounts of size and the quality of the muscle. You know, that can't be done through just sitting there pumping 25, 30, or 40-pound dumbbells.
Rusty weights and very dusty and whatever. But that's where he trained because he loved to train.
Ronnie Coleman is a story that lore is made of. This is a guy that lifted weights that nobody else could lift.
He just had it all. He had the training, he had the crazy diet that he was able to eat, you know, all these crazy things and be able to still get in that kind of shape. He brought a lot to the table.
Because even Arnold Schwarzenegger and Pumping Iron and with Lou Ferrigno, it looked like they were throwing around a lot of weight in the 70s. Like, wow, you know, here's Lou Ferrigno saying put on another 10 pounds. But I mean, Ronnie Coleman doesn't even warm up with the weights that Lou Ferrigno was lifting. He's 6'5", 280 pounds. Ronnie was lifting weights that were at the far end of the rack that were dusty, things that nobody would even fathom picking up. And he was doing it with relative ease, with repetitions.
You know, and he was the strongest Mr. Olympia of all time.
There are many powerful bodybuilders around the world, but few possess the exceptional level of strength seen in legends like the King, Ronnie Coleman. He shocked the bodybuilding industry and became the greatest bodybuilder of all time. 8-time Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman was one of the most dominant bodybuilders of the 90s and 2000s. His training videos gained widespread popularity, inspiring countless bodybuilding enthusiasts to adopt the King's intense workout routines. Even today, Coleman's accomplishments remain a hot topic among gym-goers, with many of his old training videos amassing tens of millions of views on YouTube.
Ronnie Coleman's a classic shining example of what goodness and graciousness and greatness are as it relates to bodybuilding, but more importantly, as it relates to a person. Ronnie Coleman, a very successful businessman with his Ronnie Coleman product line.
Coleman was a bodybuilder who lifted like a powerlifter. He enhanced the high-intensity training style pioneered by Dorian Yates, pushing the weights even further with max lifts on the deadlift and squat that few could match. During his Olympia reign, he combined the high reps typical of bodybuilders with the heavy weights favored in powerlifting. Often, his training philosophy could be summed up in one simple principle: lift heavier every day.
He put the workload on his muscles to make them get to a level to where there were deep cuts, deep striations, and hard work. You know, and that's what his body prevailed. You saw that. You know, so if you're not willing to go to that place where he is going to and train like that and withstand that and live like that and do that and do that and do that, then you don't have a chance against him.
While Ronnie Coleman had some of the best genetics ever, his elite work ethic both in and out of the gym was undeniable. Few would dare to push themselves as hard as he did during his epic training sessions, and it showed on stage. Known for his massive 800 plausible squats and deadlifts, those of his era were truly privileged to watch a king in his prime. This is not to take anything away from the other amazing competitors he faced.
Ronnie on a competitive level. He just never thought about him going into competitions. You know, he was nowhere close. If I was in the first call out, he was probably like in the third or fourth.
Coleman's famous 800-pound squat, which he performed for 2 reps in a squat suit and knee wraps.
Yeah, buddy. It's on now. Somebody done let the dogs out. Woo!
In later years, he mentioned that his biggest training regret was not aiming for 5 reps. While his big 3 lifts are the most impressive, Coleman also demonstrated his strength in various other exercises. According to Merit, Coleman leg pressed 2,125 pounds for 8 reps and T-bar rode around 570 pounds for 9 reps at one point. He also performed 735-pound shrugs and 160-pound dumbbell shoulder presses, further adding to his legend. Although unofficial, this would put his powerlifting total at 1,001.6 kilograms, 208.1 pounds. Despite his weight fluctuating significantly during his bodybuilding career, his typical off-season weight of over 300 pounds, 136 kilograms, would place him firmly in the 120 kg plus class if he had competed in powerlifting meets during his prime.
So I didn't see him until the next morning. We woke up, you know, when I went to backstage, pumping up, full disclosure. And I looked at him, dude, and my jaw just dropped. I was like, damn. I drank that coffee and that vodka and went to the show the next day and beat kid. I think that by him having the alcohol, it dehydrated him just a little more, but it was able to also relax him to not think about any food, not think about anything. And I think that relaxed state of mind just let the water just leave his body. And when Ronnie hit that stage, man, it was all over. It was like, where this dude come from?
During prep and the off-season, Ronnie Coleman wasn't afraid to enjoy his chicken loaded with barbecue sauce and grits like a true Southern boy. As a result, Coleman's diet wasn't anything flashy. For breakfast, he'd eat eggs and grits, followed by a protein shake. Lunch usually consisted of chicken breast with barbecue sauce, rice and beans, corn and cornbread. His next meal included chicken breast and potatoes.
When Jay knocked out the champ, it validated years of work that Ronnie Coleman had done before him. And there's not a champion out there that's not susceptible to getting knocked out and getting beaten. We've seen it happen. We saw Mike Tyson lose. We saw Muhammad Ali lose. And and we saw Ronnie Coleman lose to Jay.
And a check for $155,000, Jay Cutler.
I didn't beat the best Ronnie Coleman ever. I don't want people ever to think like, oh, well, Ronnie was at his best and Jay was at his best. It's not the case. I just was better that day. You know, time was creeping up. He was going for his record, number 9. A lot of publicity going into the show. But I felt bad for Ronnie. I felt bad winning, which is weird.
While there have been bodybuilders stronger than Coleman, none maintained his extraordinary strength while simultaneously achieving a historic Mr. Olympia dynasty. Coleman pushed the limits of his strength in every training session, but he also had to ensure his physique was symmetrical, lean, and stage ready for competitions. There's a good reason why Coleman is known as the King.